plant. I'm Robin. This is My Alkaline Vegan Journey. These are the new addition to our plant family, the castor trees, otherwise known as Ricinus communis. These are the 8 that got away. When you dry the seeds and when you dry the beans, the seeds are within the beans. The beans have 3 compartments that hold those 3 seeds. When they get dry, they purge them to the point where they pop them as far as they will go. This pot was sitting about 5 to 10 feet away from the location where the beans were drying, and they popped the seeds to this distance. But this is called Ricinus communis because of the ricinoleic acid that's the active ingredient in this plant. Now, let me tell you about the ricinoleic acid. Bittersweet. The ricin in it is so very toxic to humans. 1 to 2 milliliters can end you. But the sweet part is they've found a way to denature the ricin that's in the plant, that part of it that's toxic for us, allowing us to benefit from the potent medicinal values of it. This plant has a rare omega-9 fatty acid that really attributes to a lot of the attributes, like the deep penetration. It actually penetrates deeper than any other oil. The antioxidant factor, keeping those wild, unstable cells at bay, not affecting any of our other healthy cells. And then it has an emollient, that's straight for softening. And that coupled with being very deeply penetrating, come on. This is your anti-aging, your detox. This is the one medicine you need to have in your medicine cabinet if you don't have anything else. And that's Black Castor Oil from St. Lucia. Now, we know that it supports cellular detoxification. It stimulates the lymphatic flow. We know that's about drainage, getting all the toxins out of our body. It reduces inflammation, which is what castor oil is known for, an inflammation buster. And we know that inflammation leads to disease. It nourishes the skin and the hair. A lot of people are catching on to how it's really doing wonders for skin, anti-aging, hint, hint, hint. And the hair, yeah, I'm telling you, if you don't have anything else in your medicine cabinet, make sure you always keep Black Castor Oil. And especially this batch that we're making on May 12th, live here on YouTube. It is a batch that has been made with intention, straight up. And we've been following the lunar cycle, which is a significant attribute here in St. Lucia. These oils have a potency unlike most because of that intention and the vibration, the frequency, by doing it according to the lunar cycle. On Monday, May 12th at 12:56, we will have a new moon. From 12 to 1 p.m., we will be making our castor oil. That is to say, we will be extracting the oil from the seeds. I'm telling y'all, check out my series on the laws of attraction and how they affect our animals. Anyhow, let me show you how we harvested these seeds. This is what our castor tree babies are going to look like in a couple years. These are mature castor bean plants, Ricinus communis. These are the plants you want to harvest your castor pods. Pods are filled with the beans. The beans hold the seeds. These are your castor bean pods. They're like stems with loads of beans on them, but all clustered together. Now, these actually will flower, a little yellow flower that bees love. They also have like a red, feathery kind of protrusion at the bottom of the bean. That's when I know that they're ready. You can harvest them at this level, but they need to stay in the sun so that they can completely dry. Now, on the right are those castor bean pods that are ready to harvest. They're nice, dried, so they're brown in color. Some of them have already popped the seeds, which means they're growing new trees already. Those are the ones that, when put in the sun, will completely extract the seeds from the beans. This is the perfect castor bean pod to harvest. I harvested this during my last batch, and the beans are so ripened by the sun that they have already popped seeds and are probably growing trees now. But these are the perfect beans to harvest because you can basically touch them and the seed will pop out. This is the black castor oil that was left in my hands after handling that black castor bean pod that I just harvested. Now that we've harvested the beans from the tree, it's not over. The sun still has work to do. And believe you me, you will be grateful to have the sun do the work that it does rather than having to do this manually. You want to separate first with those dried beans. You want to separate those beans from the stems. Now, even at this stage, I put them in the sun, and I'm going to explain that to you when we get into the real nitty gritty. Yes, I consider separating the beans from the stems and the seeds from the beans as part of the harvest, because the ultimate goal is to prepare black castor oil. And the only way to do that is with the seed. And the seed is hidden in the bean. And the bean is in a cluster, a pod of other beans. So as we dry these beans, allowing the sun to continue to do its work, it's just as if this is on the tree. Once the beans get dry enough, they get brittle. And once they get brittle enough, they pop the seeds. There are 3 seeds in each bean. And every bean means everything when it comes to making castor oil. These beans also have a solar energy, because there's a step in the process where you're supposed to roast the castor beans to denature the ricin that's inside that's toxic to humans. We went several steps further by roasting these beans for 30 days with about 8 hours a day of St. Lucian sunshine. These beans are ready. These Now that we have the beans separated from the stems, now it's time for the sun to do its work. What the sun will do in drying, the sun is continuing with the ripening process. That's been evidenced in the previous clip where the oil was in my hand after just harvesting one of the pods of beans that were completely, fully ripened. There's something very relaxing about this part of separating the beans from the stems. I use a motion like this with the beans between my hands. And because the beans are dry and brittle, they have this like porcupine exterior. And they're crunchy. They're dried to perfection. Once you put them in your hands, they break off. And they become the dust at the bottom of the seeds that needs to be removed. But that motion with those seeds, with those prickles in there, is something so relaxing. And this entire batch of black castor oil is going to be so potent. I mean, not only are we following the lunar cycle, we're also letting the sun do what it does best. It has extracted so much, if not all, of the moisture out of these beans that you feel it when they're between your hands. And I keep telling y'all you need to use gloves, but it's so hard for me to use gloves because I like the feeling. And there's something uh, else going on with the preparation of this oil. The touching is part of that. You know, when you put your senses together, the smell, the sight, the touch, just hearing them pop like popcorn is so amazing to me. I mean, it's like, let me out. And I don't care where I land. If I land in your pot to make some castor oil, all well and good. Otherwise, I'm gonna be over here in this dirt making you a new tree. I love this. I love this whole process. On May 12th, join us on YouTube Live, My Alkaline Vegan Journey. We're going to make this black castor oil. We're going to be extracting the oil from the seeds. So all of this is considered harvest because the ultimate goal is to get to the seed. So all of this is part of it. Join me with this next video where I show you exactly how we separate the seed from the bean. This is what I call my box of green beans, green castor oil beans. And they're mixed with those that look like they're turning brown. And that's what they will all do. They will all turn brown, but it's the sun that's doing its magic. As we set these in the sun every day, it comes so brittle that they will pop the seed. What we ultimately have to do with this is to cover it with some kind of netting so that the seeds don't get popped and start creating trees. Now, this is from my box of green beans. I go through that box about every 2 days. As the sun dries them, they become brittle enough where I can separate them from the stems and from other beans that are still green and moist. Once I put them in this box and start the drying process through the sun, they become even more brittle. And those single sections of that bean that normally has 3 sections starts to pop. And even within that pop, you get a lot of seeds. So at the bottom of this box are probably whole green beans that haven't quite gotten all the sun's energy. It's got the whole brown bean that might be ready to pop, and it's got sections of that bean along with the castor seeds at the bottom. This is when the sun has done his job very well. You'll see a lot of the broken shells and the seeds ready to be separated. We're going to get into this when we discuss the video on how to separate the castor beans from the castor seeds. I hope you enjoyed this, and I want you to subscribe because we have a plethora of things that we're going to be working on. And even though I don't have a proper phone, my mom actually sent my iPhones from the States to here to St. Lucia. And it took a month to ride around the East Coast of the U.S. A month. And it went back to my mom because of the lithium battery. And what was interesting, the U.S. Postal Service actually allowed my mom, who's an older woman, to come in and pay for a trip around the United States with this package. I think that something needs to be done because the woman actually packaged the phones. The actual clerk at the post office, she packaged the phones. I'm so bummed, but God is good all the time. And the God within me says we are not going to be defeated. We're always going to be victorious. So I took my uh, laptop and started taking it on location, and that's where you're seeing most of these videos. Me with my laptop on location. It's not going to stop. We're going to talk about what happened over on TikTok with My Alkaline Vegan Journey. It's going to be very interesting. But in the meantime, join us on Monday, May 12th on our live here on YouTube. We're going to be preparing the castor oil. Secondly, join us when you come to one of my videos and see a card. I'm just learning how to do this. Click on it because there are other videos there that are attached. I have one that kind of tells of my story of becoming an alkaline vegan on this alkaline vegan journey. Um, there's so many different videos that are in this session, but I really want to rebuild our family. The My Alkaline Vegan Journey family that was on TikTok. I would love to see you all here. So I'm hoping we're reaching out and connect in some kind of way because we had a ball. We accomplished so many things. This castor oil is just one of the things that we're working with so that we can keep our bodies maintained. We did a lot of work doing our reset detoxification, but so well worth it. It does not take a lot for us to kind of bounce back from a setback. So I want you all to join me Monday, but I also check out the videos and subscribe. You know, those of you that are subscribed get instant notification when we make videos, and we're going to be making loads. I have so much content. So yeah, be prepared. And I look forward to seeing you Monday.